Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting Radio. EB Radio. EB Radio. Your station for empowerment presents Mom Boss Talk Radio, a show that brings real life, real moms, and real experiences to empower mom bosses everywhere to be ambitious, highly driven, fierce, fabulous, and fearless. Mom Boss Talk Radio begins now.
Welcome, Mom Bosses. Welcome back. Welcome. It is another amazing Thursday, and you guys know that means we're going to have another great discussion. This is the Mom Bosses, and we're super excited that you're joining us this evening. We are three mom bosses that's going to bring real life, real experiences to empower you as a mom boss. I am actually one of your hosts. My name is Jerisha, and I am joined with my two amazing co-hosts, Monyetta and Kiana. Come on, Monyetta.
Hey.
Come on in, ladies.
Oh, my goodness. Now, it has been all over your timeline, okay? But I think the Mom Bosses has the know-all to kind of put our take on the whole situation with Will Smith and Chris Rock. Now, me personally, I'm looking at the whole situation from a mental health standpoint. When I don't watch I don't know if it's the Oscars, Grammys, you can't even tell me because I don't know. All I know is it popped up on my timeline, and I was shooketh. I'm like, what is happening in this world? But what I saw was two men fighting something deep within, especially, with Will Smith. You could see in his eyes that he has been battling with so much, and even with just the things that we know on social media, that people have been dragging the Smith family for years, and they have been ultimately silent, about all the trash talking, and they even created the Red Table Talk with Jada anyway to kind of put their lives more into perspective of like, okay, this is who we are, this is why we do the things that we do, and guess what? For me, I think they're flourishing. Their kids are beautiful and talented. So I feel like people kind of attack them, for really no reason. And for a society that says no bullying, we like to bully. So everybody needs to think about that also. But when I saw that this whole situation transpired, with the whole situation with Chris Rock making that joke about alopecia, I think it was kind of a low blow. Because a lot of people were saying, well, maybe he didn't know. No, he's in their same circle. She's put out interviews and videos about the whole situation. It was something that hurt her deeply. And for you to even allow that joke to go through, I think that's bull, especially with his history of always talking about this man's wife. This is my thing. Right. Okay, I'm about to go on a rant, y'all. You don't know what people go through. Okay, you don't know not one thing. And even though you put that on social media, you don't know what's behind that screen. You just don't. So you cannot sit there and say that, that he's a soft man or, that X, Y, and Z. No, you're attacking an individual. That's bullying. That is pure bullying. And then this man has always talked about this family. So it's nothing new to him. And from what I understand, allegedly he has told this man to stop talking about his family. And guess what? Situation came up. He saw red, and he went on there and he saw his wife's face. If anybody, his wife, and people's like, oh, they're laughing. They do cuts and edits to make anything look a certain way. Right. So people doing all this extra stuff is really, woo, y'all got me on a tangent, y'all. What y'all think?
Well, you know what? I don't even know if I should go next, but I completely agree with that. I feel like there's so many different things that we can look at when it comes down to this situation. And you mentioned it, and it's so funny because as we've shared before, like we literally have just a little bit of conversation before we hop on to record our shows and to do the broadcasting. And so we literally, like you guys are getting, again, this real life, real, just us being transparent with how we feel about it. I totally am with you on the whole how much is it for us, whether you're a famous person, it doesn't matter who you are. At the end of the day, I think there's a line between telling jokes and then you just continuing to come for somebody, and I do see it as a form of bullying. Given the history, and so you have to kind of not just look at this situation. And again, none of us would say that violence is the answer, but at the end of the day, given the history with, Will and Jada, as well as just, Chris Rock and the things that he has said over the years, and just how things have kind of, boiled and continue to boil, and you're adding fuel to the, the fire and everything else. It was unexpected. I think everyone was like, wait, is this staged? Is this, at the same time, it was like you can clearly see the hurt, the pain in both Will's face. You've seen it in Jada's as well. And I feel like it's an excuse. Like, you can't say you didn't know this. And why is it that you couldn't have joked about something else? Why is it that you had to go there? At the same time, I definitely feel like, Will could have handled it completely different from how he did. But, if we're going to go down the path of talking about bullying, and I hate to even pull this in and say, but most of the time when we think about how people are bullied, they get to a point where they're just like, enough is enough. And normally, boom, there comes the explosion. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's bad. It's really, really bad. And people are like, wait, what happened? Did you know this was going on? Did you know? So I think just the fact that you spoke on the mental health piece really speaks volumes on just the situation. There's so many different things. Certainly so many people have shared how they feel. I think for me, I have been really irritated, like I definitely feel the same way you do as far as that. But I think it's really kind of disappointing to hear some of the, some of the famous people, some of the stars kind of come out and share in the way that they are, what is the best way to put it? It's almost like they're going on this rant to bash Will, to say, oh, he needs to, the Oscar needs to be taken from him. He doesn't need to make another movie. Hollywood needs to ban him. And I'm like, is that really the answer at the end of the day? Truly. At this point, his whole family has been attacked, and at this point, his family is being attacked even more. And so I just, I feel so many different ways about this whole thing, but ultimately, it's really kind of, for me, a little, upsetting and disappointing when you see other people that is in that industry that it's like, because of this, and I'm not saying action should not have consequences. From my understanding, he's already said, you know what, you can have the Oscar back. I will step down as far as, being a part of the Academy and everything else. He's already done that. But why say that, he doesn't need to have another movie come out? And, to me, it wasn't even the answer to take away his Oscar, although it happened there. He could receive an award for a movie that he did. So all of a sudden, it's like everybody is like, just, I don't know, they're ready to, just completely judge. And yes, absolutely. And I'm like, is that really the answer? And if we can be completely honest, Chris Rock has been able to capitalize on the whole situation. So, and that's a whole other thing. But Kiana, I definitely don't want to let you come in and
no,
what your perspective is.
I'm loving it. I'm loving listening. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to be the complete opposite, not intentionally, but just to share where I guess my partial perspective, on the situation. I personally did not watch it. In real time, I ran across an article in my feed, and I was like, what? And, got to see a playback of it. So as far as that goes, now I will say, not taking anybody's, taking making, excuses for anyone. From what I understood the day after when they were talking about it on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne the God said he had spoken to Chris Rock and that he didn't know. I don't know how true that was. I didn't feel like he was making an excuse for him or anything. But if we take it from that perspective, I'm going to be honest. I didn't know. A lot of the times I don't follow mainstream media. I'm not following stars or, anything like that to know everybody's personal, what's going on a personal level. I know someone had made a comment to me that she had cut all her hair off, and they asked like, oh, are her and Willow, trying to do the twin thing, like, oh, well, I like my daughter's hair, so I'm going to do the same thing. So on a personal level, I didn't even know, what was going on. So in defense, if he honestly didn't know, here he was doing his natural thing. The audience laughed, not to say that everyone there knew, or that, you can't say, I know if my schedule's not nearly as busy as his and I'm not as active as he is on a day-to-day basis, that I would assume he would know something like that. I don't know how active people are in their Instagrams and, whatever other accounts to know what's going on, within their circles completely. But, if I take it from that perspective that he didn't, and, he was in a way, I guess, when he had made the comment, I didn't when I was just watching it unfold, I was kind of confused on what was going on. When I heard the joke, it was like, oh, okay, he's paying, promoting, when's, G.I. Jane 2 coming out, I didn't know if it really was coming out. Again, I don't get to watch much movies or things like that, so I was watching it with completely blind eyes, again, because I didn't know of her situation either. So, either way, long story short, for our people, for, like you both mentioned here, people are bashing, Chris Rock. I mean, not Chris Rock, but Will Smith, saying that his Oscar should be taken away. He, this. We see it all the time, regardless if it's, someone famous or, someone with a mental health problem in our neighborhood, how they're treated. A lot of people don't look at that mental health aspect of that, and again, like you both pointed out and other people have said, only Will and Jada know what goes on behind closed door in their house. Yes, they kind of joked, I heard it was live, but, they laughed at the joke, but then a few minutes after it probably processed, on a personal side, he probably did get upset, but I wish he would not have resorted to that just because of the outcome on both ends. It's a sad situation for both. They've both worked together in the past, and just that brotherly love, it's so far and few in between that get the longevity in their careers when they're people of color, regardless if it's a male or a female. So from that perspective of it, yes, I wish it would have been handled differently. He would have just pulled him to the side, on a commercial break or whenever, however, and talked to him, because I think it could have all been handled differently.
I do agree that, as far as like not resulting in violence. However, based on their history, this man has already told him, you can attack me, but my wife and kids are off limits. But if you're continuously seeing somebody that you've already warned to keep his family's name out your mouth, you can't be mad at his reaction. You know what I'm saying? Because you say every action gets a reaction. Okay, so Chris Rock's action got a reaction. You know what I'm saying? And so did Will Smith's actions got a reaction. So my whole thing is like when I think about it, it's like, the mental health aspect of it, like this family. And I'm like, and I also understand that Chris Rock also, I think, found out, I don't know if it's recently, that he is also dealing with physical health, just like Jada. And what upsets me is that people are attacking Jada, and like now all of a sudden alopecia is just a common thing. When anyone else had alopecia, it's like, okay, let's be caring. Let's, oh, this is a rough time for you. But because of it's Jada, now it's all put on a wig. Like, oh, it's not that serious. No, just say you don't like her.
Yeah.
Exactly. And my whole thing is this. Yeah, it is. And my whole thing is everybody keeps bringing up her past. And what's making me upset is, like, all the people who are speaking of this, let's see what's in your closet. Let's see what skeletons you got hiding, because there's a lot of them who got so much baggage, but yet you have the audacity to speak on something. I don't care if it's out in the public. Everybody's in the public. Everybody's on platforms, okay? Even if you use it or don't use it, you post at least one picture, you're out there. But you do not have the right to, in the same breath, to try to say bullying is wrong and then bully. That makes no sense to me.
That's right.
And my whole thing is, with the suicide rate so high, this could be the last straw for these people, rich or not. From the lowest to having crumbs to the people who has the most. Everybody has a breaking point. Everybody. And sometimes it is displayed on live TV. And you can't tell me a slap is going to be warranted for you taking away an Oscar, but SA can still be okay? No. You got all these producers, executives, everybody in the higher ups that has all these, that's doing some shady stuff. But this man, you can obviously see, is in pain. He has been trying to figure out his pain from his past. Everybody has trauma. Some people don't deal with their trauma until they're older. Some people won't be able to get over their trauma. That goes for Will and for Chris. You know what I'm saying? And for black people, for them being black men, I think this is fuel to society's fire. It's already messed up as it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's why our community's like, hey, stand down. Everybody stand down. Let us figure this out. Let us talk to these men. You see, if you saw, they were surrounded by other black actors who was comforting them.
Right.
So let us handle this situation. But you can see our community already has trauma as it is. Our community is still trying to deal with mental health. A lot of our people don't understand the trauma and all the mental health issues. We're just now coming to let's have therapy.
Yes.
And after how long? After how long?
Come on.
Like, look, when I look at society as a whole, it's like, okay, when I saw that situation, all I saw was pain internally.
Yes.
Internally.
Come on.
That's what I saw, pain. That man's eyes, and I didn't even listen to his speech. I just saw like snippets, and just seeing him in tears, you can see he's hurting. And my whole thing is, it's nothing wrong with men crying. It's nothing wrong with men expressing their feelings. But if somebody says, stop attacking my family, and that person does not, what is the recourse?
Yeah.
What is the recourse?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, Mom Bosses. You got me on.
I agree. No. Please don't apologize, because I think that is good, and I think it needs to be said, because I think there's a lot of different platforms out there that is, have reverted to, badgering and, really putting information, speaking on things as a form of just to entertain people.
Yeah.
And some of the foolishness that they're putting out there. At the end of the day, I've seen the same thing. It is all about pain. And I'm like, again, I love the fact that you mentioned that, as far as the bullying. And I definitely, agree with, both of your perspectives on it. And having not watched it, I wasn't watching it. I just happened to see again come through my feeds. But I think it's definitely something that needs to be said, because, when it occurred, we heard that, Denzel Washington, Tyler Perry went up to him.
Samuel L. Jackson.
If a person and they're step out of their character, like something's not right. You see them react in a way that you haven't seen this person. Again, you don't know what people are dealing with. And I think that's one of the huge reasons why so many things happen, not just in schools, just across the world, period, because people are reacting to trying to process and deal with pain when they don't know how to. So I think that's so good that you mentioned that, because clearly, again, we're not saying that violence is the answer. We truly feel like this situation could have been handled totally different. However, because it has been handled that way, it just saddens me to really see some of the platforms, some of the people speak out and say, you know, I was devastated, or I'm devastated. I'm like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
How are you so devastated? You weren't there. You know, how are you so devastated? You know, just for the fact of trying to make themselves look relevant right now.
Yeah.
So I just, to me, that is really saddens me, because at the end of the day, I think, like you said, and like we've all said, that it's a mental health issue that we all need to deal with, you know, in our own lives. That clearly shows that once you keep adding fuel to the fire, things build up and build up until the explosion happens. A lot of that, like you mentioned, you know, maybe someone taking their own life, maybe someone, you know, lashing out on somebody else. But ultimately, we have to learn how to process pain, hurt. We have to learn, I think, even as a Black community, we have to learn how to process that. And, you know, I think that this is a perfect example, an opportunity for even our own families to start that discussion. And like you said, yes, it's okay for men to cry. It's okay for them to hurt. It's okay, because clearly, you know, we in the community, and we all can speak to this as far as in the Black community, that it's always told to a Black male that, no, you're not supposed to cry. You're supposed to keep strong. You know, so it makes them feel like, how do I process? How do I deal with pain? You know, and I'm not even a Black man, but I know I have dealt with my own struggles as far as dealing with pain and being a strong woman, and you know, not wanting to cry and all of that. But no, when you are hurting, you have to know how to process that. Absolutely,
have that outlet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I would like, I'm sorry, Kiana, I'm trying to get my thoughts out. Okay. Okay. So,
You're
you know,
fine.
for me, like with my son, I tell him, like, it is okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. It is okay, because I want you to be able to know how to handle it properly. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to hold it in. And when I look at, even though Will Smith, he's a freaking millionaire, probably a billionaire, and he has a team, his team probably didn't even see this coming. He probably, you know, even though he is, and the thing is, his character, this is really a character for him, because he's usually always, and I follow Will Smith because he's always dropping positivity, like positive, you know what I'm saying, like love and support, and he's that type of energy. So if something really triggered him, then that's always a question of what happened. You can have a whole group of people and they will never know your pain, because like you were saying before, in our community we're always told to suppress it, okay, never to show, because it's a form of weakness. It is not a form of weakness, okay? I cry almost on a daily basis, okay? I need to get that out. So it's like, it is okay. It is absolutely okay to let those emotions flow. And on both respects, Chris Rock needs therapy, and Will Smith needs even more therapy, because apparently something is wrong. And with Chris Rock, I think he really needs to realize, you know, because I understand jokes. I understand comedy. Comedy is my favorite genre, okay? I watch anything. Love me some Dave Chappelle, you know what I'm saying? I love me some good comedy. But you cannot tell me, especially at an Oscars or Grammy, you would think people are making it seem like, okay, wrong place. If that was the case, then maybe jokes should not be placed at an Oscar or a Grammy if you're trying to have an upper echelon type of, you know, feel. Maybe don't attack people in the audience. You know what I'm saying? Make it really light. Look, I don't know, because I don't never watch them. I've never watched them.
Okay, and let me say this real quick. Let me get this thought out too. Because here's my thing. I'm not a comedian, but at the end of the day, I know for a fact that a lot of comedians do research on, you know, knowing who's going to be there. A lot of them don't just pull things out of nowhere. They have jokes already set. You know what I'm saying? So it makes me wonder if, you know, if you did any kind of research or said, okay, well, I'm just going to use them and let them be the butt of my jokes, why would you not do your due diligence and say, let me make sure there's no issue going on with her from a health standpoint? Because clearly we know that most of the time if someone does have a bald head, it can only be a couple of different things. So, it could be cancer, or it could be alopecia. So it just, so why would that not be a part of your doing your due diligence and doing, your background information on you building your jokes? So that's what I just wanted to say that because I know for a fact that that's what a lot of comedians do. Like, they don't just, and although this wasn't like his stand-up, but honestly.
Yeah, and they have writers. Exactly. Yeah, and they have writers. So their writers are supposed to also do research before putting stuff in scripts or, writings and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So to be that careless, is crazy to me. I'm like, have we not learned from the situations from Chadwick, from Tracy Braxton, and what has happened? They passed because people were attacking them. Like, you don't know what else this woman is going through just because she didn't automatically state it. Okay, she was trying to share something like exactly. Like, people don't always want to share everything. See, for a society that's like, you don't share enough, you owe us, into a society of like, okay, now you're doing too much. Society picks and choose who they want to cater to and feel sorry for, and then attack people because they feel they have been wronged. They didn't wrong you. That's their relationship. How are you feeling wronged in a relationship that you're not in?
Yeah.
Like you must be
like when it comes down to certain things, I feel like it's off limits. You know what I'm saying? So whether you're a comedian, whoever it may be, if that's not somebody that's like your homeboy or your homegirl or whatever the case, then because again it goes back to the history. Like, they're not BFFs. You know what I'm saying? Like they clearly have, and I don't want to say bad blood, but they're not like, they may just, in passing, but the history between them. So I don't feel like it was okay to even make any joke, whether it would have been funny or not. Like, they shouldn't have been the butt of a joke, considering the fact that of the history that was there. Yes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I know.
Tiana, you have anything else to say?
No, I'm just gonna just leave it where it's at, Again, because like I said, I when I originally heard the joke, I didn't take it as him being malicious. I the character that I've seen from him in the past, I don't feel like he would have maliciously, intentionally said something like that if he knew that, And again, just going off of my initial next day of, Charlemagne saying that he had talked to him and he didn't know, and everybody was focused on Will's reaction. His reaction, I don't think if he was trying to be malicious, he would have been as surprised as he was, because even his follow-up and, non-reaction to him hitting him, it was kind of like, dang, what did I say? I don't get it, So he kind of had that puzzled look on his face, like he didn't understand why he did that. Again, like I said, I thought maybe he was given homage, or that the G.I. Jane 2 was coming out. Again, I didn't watch the first one, so like I said, all these remakes, reboots, and all this stuff is coming out. So I looked at it innocently. I was confused as to why he hit him until I later found out about her health condition. Again, a lot of the, everything that's, spiraling from this on both ends, it's sad and unfortunate. And the only people that are really making money off of this is them, belittling us, and doing what they do to us on a regular basis. Like I said, regardless if it's your cousin Boo Boo who just got shot and killed, what's the first thing they do? They're going to talk about every last bad thing that they can think of and dig up to, talk about you. I hadn't heard anybody, bad mouthing Jada, and, for you all to share that, I think that's really sad and, misfortunate for her, and her family. Like I said, it's not a win-win situation on anybody's, behalf, and just moving forward, I hope the two can come together, maybe share each side of the story, hey, I didn't know this was going on. I apologize. And, I get why you reacted the way you did, and I hope that whatever in the future moving forward, that things can be resolved, behind closed doors and it kind of stay out the light, because again, both of their careers and whatever are being affected, and it's sad, because, we don't get these opportunities too often. And that's why I said I really wish it could have been handled differently. I'm all for a man standing up for his wife or girlfriend, whatever, however, definitely not knocking him on that. But, and that from a mindfulness standpoint, I wish he could have, again, waited till after, because look at the, people wanting to pull, for movies and take Oscars. And it's just sad, because that's not the answer. Again, to my understanding, they've both been in therapy. I heard a lot about Chris Rock being bullied all through, school and everything else. So again, it's, like I said, I just hope it gets resolved in a, more mature manner, and something positive can come out of this. I've heard a lot of great conversations, across the board, from a mental health perspective and, things like that. So, this is just something that, another incident, hopefully we can learn from other people's, mistakes, or, if you want to use that word, I'm using it loosely, but, just being mindful, from an entrepreneur side, hey, I got to protect my bag. I got to protect my legacy and what my kids got coming. I'm not letting whoever affect that. I can, regardless, I get to that point of being frustrated to where I either want to do something to you or, just cry it out. And I'll cry it out because you ain't messing up my money. That's the one thing I ain't going to let you do.
I know that's right.
But
that's good. That's good. And I think one thing that you said, one of the things that you said that I think was really good was the fact that they need to have a conversation. I definitely feel like it doesn't need to be publicized. I think that them just being, again, going back to them being black men and black men in the industry, that they need to at least be able to, or whatever time, come together and have a conversation. It doesn't need to be in the public light, and to where, again, they have that whatever conversation to share their thoughts. And, of course, they, will apologize and everything else. At the same time, I just feel like, they definitely need to have that conversation behind closed doors, like you said. Monietta, do you want to add anything before we close out?
Just, for anyone to, if there's a takeaway from this whole situation, is that, do not allow, the pain and trauma to boil over to the point where you just explode, and, seek out some type of therapy, or, seek out somebody that you feel comfortable in speaking with. I know it's not easy as far as like the black community, to really, find people that they can ultimately trust. But it needs to start somewhere. Even if it's journaling, just kind of getting things out of your system in a notepad and seeing, and just know your feelings are valid. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's feelings are valid. Will Smith's feelings are valid. Chris Rock's feelings are valid. To invalidate Jada's feelings are valid, and to invalidate someone because you don't particularly like them is wrong. Just like he smacked, Chris is wrong. People's reactions that are negative are wrong, because you're putting more strain on mental health than you're helping. Okay, so if you are having or feeling a certain way, or feel like, you're just on the end, there are phone numbers out there. I don't have it on me, but definitely look up hotlines to speak with somebody. You can be anonymous. Just get it out. Just vent it out. Okay, just reach out to somebody. And, make sure you follow us on Mom Boss Talk Radio on Facebook. I will post, resources for anyone who is feeling like they need to talk. Just don't hold it in. You don't want to explode.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's so good. And with that being said, this show was totally, different from any of the shows that we have, any of the topics that we've talked about. But because of the fact of just how, when you think about just the fact of the mental health pieces and how, of course, the Will Smith and Chris Rock thing has been trending. And we wanted to at least chime in to share it from the mental health, the mindfulness, and the empowerment side of things. And so we truly hope that at least, we gave you a little bit of different perspective from hearing us speak on it as mom bosses. Again, we by far are not saying that violence is okay, but we are saying that it's okay to hurt, it's okay to be in pain. And it's ultimately, if you are wanting someone to give you permission to go and speak to someone, each and every one of us would absolutely say, yes, we give you permission to open up and have that conversation, and don't allow that hurt, that pain to keep building until you explode. So we truly just want to thank you for tuning in to the show this evening. As always, we are Mom Bosses on a mission to empower moms all over the world. Please remember to be ambitious, highly driven, fierce, fabulous, and fearless. Remember, you are making moves, and you got this. Until next time, stay safe and be blessed.
Thank you for joining us on Mom Boss Talk Radio. Follow each of the Mom Bosses on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you love Mom Boss Radio, visit the website at www.envisionedbroadcasting.com. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.